Ever since tools like ChatGPT just exploded onto the scene, the world of education has been scrambling. It's facing this massive question, right? Is this new tech a total game changer for the better, or is it a genuine threat to how we learn? So let's dive into what the early research is actually telling us. Okay, and this quote, this really hits the nail on the head. It's from a director of digital learning, and it cuts through all the noise. Forget the hype and the panic for a second. The real, on-the-ground conversation is about one thing: giving teachers back their time. We're talking about automating the tedious stuff, the lesson plans, the grading, so they can pour that time back into the things that really matter. The human connection with students that no AI can ever replicate.
All right, so the initial shockwave is kind of passing, and schools, well, they're not just sitting on the sidelines anymore waiting to see what happens. Nope. They are actively stepping onto the field and starting to write the actual rulebook for how this technology is going to be used.
And as they do that, they're finding out that AI really has two faces. There's this incredible, almost unbelievable promise, and then there's the very real, significant peril. And here's that core conflict, laid out plain and simple. On the one hand, you've got the promise, which is, honestly, huge. We're talking about saving teachers tons of time, personalizing education for every student, just incredible potential. But on the other hand, the peril is just as big. You've got the obvious stuff like cheating and data privacy, but then there's something even trickier: algorithmic bias. And look, this bias thing, it isn't just a theoretical what-if scenario. It's already happened. The research points to some really serious real-world examples. Take the UK back in 2020. An algorithm was built to assign grades during the pandemic, but it ended up unfairly punishing students from poorer communities. And then, just last year, another study found that big e-learning websites were using algorithms that suggested high-level science and tech courses way more often to male students. So we're literally using brand new tech to bake in old, tired inequalities. It's a huge problem.
So, with all these challenges, what are schools and universities actually doing about it? Well, they're definitely not burying their heads in the sand. They're getting proactive. They're creating official policies to deal with AI, not as some future thing, but as a right here, right now reality. And to figure out how to do this, a lot of them are turning to this established idea called the diffusion of innovations theory. Now, I know that sounds super academic, but the core idea is actually really simple. It just says that for any new tech to really catch on, it has to do three things. It has to fit with how we already do things, we have to be able to try it out, and we have to be able to see that it's actually working. And schools are using this exact playbook for AI.
So, what are their main priorities when they write these new rules? Well, this chart gives us a fantastic look inside 40 top universities. And number one, by a landslide, is academic integrity. I mean, all 40 of them listed that as a concern, which, makes total sense. But here's the part that really makes you stop and think. Promoting equity, making sure the tech is fair for everyone. It's on the list, yeah, but it was a top priority for only 10 out of those 40 schools. That's a number we really need to keep an eye on.
Okay, so those priorities lead to a pretty common strategy, a kind of four-step playbook that we're seeing pop up everywhere. Step 1, just get AI into the classroom. Let people experiment. Step 2, and this is crucial, teach everyone to be super critical of what the AI spits out. Don't just trust it. Step 3, make sure everything is transparent and that student privacy is locked down. And finally, step 4, this is the big one, completely rethink what a test looks like. Design assignments that test the stuff an AI can't just do for you. Real creativity, deep critical thought. But, and this is a really big but, the research found a major gap. Even though almost all of these top universities have published rules for AI, only 5 out of the 40 studied have a real system in place to track whether it's actually working. I mean, think about that for a second. They're rolling out this powerful new technology, but the vast majority aren't systematically checking to see if it's having a positive impact. That's a huge blind spot. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. We've talked about policy, but what are the actual jobs we're giving AI inside the classroom? What does it do? Well, the research shows it basically breaks down into 3 very different roles. So what are these 3 jobs? First, AI can be a new subject. Think of it like a personal chatbot tutor that a student can talk to. Second, it can be a direct mediator, where the AI isn't just a tool, it is the entire learning platform. And third, it can be a supplementary assistant, which is more of a behind-the-scenes role, crunching data and giving teachers insights into how their students are doing.
And this chart shows us how that actually breaks down in practice. The most common use, at about 44%, is as a direct mediator, basically the AI as the main platform for learning. Right behind that, at 35%, is the supplementary assistant role, the data cruncher for teachers. And that leaves about 21% for the new subject role, where the AI is acting like a personal tutor. So it's used more as a platform than a conversational partner right now.
Now, this chart is really cool because it connects those roles to the specific problems schools are trying to solve. You can literally follow the lines. See that big stream coming from direct mediator? It flows right to improving student performance. Makes sense, right? And look at supplementary assistant. That one flows to helping teachers manage the classroom. The big takeaway here is that AI isn't one magic bullet. It's a whole toolbox with different tools being used for very specific jobs.
So, when you put all this together, what's the big picture? What does it all mean? It means AI is forcing us to have a really fundamental conversation about the whole point of education. I mean, what does it mean to learn something in a world where any answer is just a click away? All right, so let's boil it all down. What are the key takeaways from all this research? First, the human has to stay in the loop, always. That is absolutely non-negotiable. Second, you can't just throw this tech out there. You need clear rules and solid training for everybody involved. Third, we have to shift our focus in the classroom. It can't be about memorizing facts anymore. It has to be about critical thinking, problem solving, the stuff AI can't do. And finally, equity has to be at the absolute center of every single one of these conversations. If it's not, we risk making the digital divide a whole lot wider. At the end of the day, generative AI is here. It's not a hypothetical anymore. It's in our schools. It's on our college campuses. It is literally in our students' hands. So the debate is over. The question isn't if we're going to use it. The real question, the one we all have to answer, is how. How are we going to use this powerful tool to shape the future of learning itself? That's the challenge and the opportunity right in front of us.